came to war was Kennedy and Khrushchev over Cuba.
Yeah, it's true, but
Yeah, what did you get out of boycotting Cuba for 50 years?
we missed a lot of good cigars. That's all.
Well, one thing I agree with Obama on. Well, I agree with a lot of things that Obama does and says, but the bottom line is, if you've tried the same strategy for the past 50 years and it hasn't worked, namely sanctions against Cuba, who's suffering for it? Might as well just, allow people to go back and forth. And it's good for the economy. It's good for trade. And it's just good for the relations between the United States and Cuba. I understand that many Cuban refugees in Florida and in other places their families have undergone torture or they've lost a lot monetarily. Okay, so they may have personal grudges against Castro. But, continuing with these policies that the government has is not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything for the better as far as they're concerned.
That's true.
Well, as I said before, the annals of history will look back upon these times, and a lot of heads will be shaking.
Well, as George
And
Santayana
questions.
as George Santayana said, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. History teaches many lessons.
But very few people do actually listen to those lessons, unfortunately. As
No.
you say. What do you do out in the Midwest?
I'm retired.
I was going to say, you
Okay,
sound like
so
us. You sound
You're
like
retired.
you're retired.
Adam, you're still there.
I'm here.
He's listening.
Okay, we got another retired gentleman on the line.
A lot of us.
A lot of us retired. Actually, 3 of the 4 of us are retired.
And more every day.
Yeah.
Well, to live old, you get wiser.
Yeah.
Your suggestions should be taken more valuable than be used as a guiding post, but nobody wants to listen.
Well, I'll tell you, you sound young. I'll tell you that, though. You have a young, strong voice.
Well, I try not to let this stuff wear me down.
Yeah. Well, the only good thing that's happening right now is there's more of us, of the older, and we're going to control more of the country because there's just more of us.
You
And I
think
hope
so?
I think
America's a youth-oriented country. It always has been.
Yeah, but
People don't want to age gracefully. Okay, they want to turn back the clock if they can.
that's fine. All I'm saying is, with age, like this gentleman said, there's wisdom, and hopefully there's enough of us, and as our population grows, do we have more influence in the government and what's going on?
You know what we're going to do? I could see this gentleman and your brother, you or me. We go to some diner and have our coffee cups refilled time and again, have some cheesecake, and just talk about the problems of the world.
Exactly. Yeah, but we still have the power of the vote, and as it increases, hopefully we'll vote wisely.
And look what happened. In the 2014 election, we had the lowest turnout, they said, in 44 years. It's a disgrace. I remember I used to...
Well, what's more scary is the people that's running.
Yeah,
That's
there isn't much of a choice. There really isn't. Within the Republican Party, and I'm not picking on the Republicans, I'm just saying, but within the Republican Party, you have the schism between the Tea Party and I wouldn't even say moderates, because there are very few moderates left in the Republican Party. It's not Rockefeller or Jacob Javitz's Republican Party. The Republican Party still leans very much to the right. But the Tea Party doesn't want to play ball with anybody. They're coming in, and they don't, they want what they want, and they're literally holding Congress hostage by voting in a block the way they do, And as Felix said before, Boehner has to somehow convince and get support from Democrats in order to get certain things passed in the House, because he can't rely on his Republican Party. He has no control over them.
Well, I'm very surprised that they haven't taxed the hell out of gasoline due to its artificially lowered price. What that's doing to domestic production, when things is getting better for some people, people who wanted to work hard and invest, they'd have to take a couple steps back.
Well, this price decrease, he's saying, is artificial. It's artificial only in that it's being caused basically by Saudi Arabia, who's trying to keep us from building our own, working more with the shale oil and all that, shale and everything else that we have.
Well, they also want to break Russia because, Russia's really hurting because of the oil prices right now. Because most of Europe gets their gas from
Russia and Iran. Yeah, they're trying to hurt Russia and Iran. So
all the oil producing net importers of oil, exporters of oil are hurting, the fact is it's not going to go back up to where it was.
I don't know.
Soon.
It will in time. It won't be a big rise, but over time it will go back up.
Yes, it will. It'll settle out, but it's not going to settle out at $100 a barrel.
I told Felix the other day. I think it was on Friday. I forgot what we were talking about, or last Monday. I remember when I was going to college. Okay, and I was working at Getty Station on Long Island here, and if I told you how much gas per gallon was, you'd fall off your seat. It was 19.9 cents. 19 cents.
Yeah, I remember that.
20 cents a gallon.
I remember 20 cents a gallon. Matter of fact, a pack of cigarettes costs more than a gallon of gas.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right.
And I remember when cigarettes were 32 cents a pack.
Cigarettes used to be 50 cents. Now they're pushing $9 a pack. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I have a problem with that,
Do I?
It's so bad for you, so,
I think they should tax cigarettes more.
And but you know what the sad thing is? The people who are addicted to cigarettes are still going to pay it. They're not going to stop because it costs more.
It's true.
And all you're going to be doing is hurting. You're going to be hurting the average Joe who, let's say, he smokes, his wife smokes, or whatever, and if they buy a carton of cigarettes for $70 at $7 a pack, that's a bargain already. But could you imagine $70 for 10 packs of cigarettes?
Yeah.
It used to be a month's rent.
Yeah.
Or it used to be, or you remember the line when they used to say, take your family to McDonald's and get change from a $5 bill. When? I don't remember that.
Well, it's anybody, I know, anybody here smoke? Nobody smokes, right?
No, I don't.
I don't.
Nope,
Yeah, I know
not anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore. I think you
Who could afford?
I would say the higher the cigarette tax goes, the fewer people are going to smoke.
You would think so, and Mark is saying not. Mark is thinking that it's just.
Well, at some point they won't be able to afford it. So.
Well, I'm thinking maybe less people will start it because they can't afford to start the habit. Once you're in the habit, it's hard to break it.
Cigarettes is one of the luxuries that people just won't give up. Okay, I just feel that way. That no matter what you were to charge on tax, okay, to make it virtually almost impossible for people to want to smoke, you still have people that are so addicted that they'll do anything for
Well, look, I quit. My brother quit. I don't know if you ever smoked. Mark, you never smoked, right?
I did. I smoked.
No, it's
cigarettes.
It's too expensive to roll your own.
Exactly.
That's right.
Remember how they used to get the can of Prince Albert and take the paper out and lick it?
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Listen, we're better off for not smoking. Let's face it.
Yeah, but but now obviously for years they've come out with the study about secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
And I tell my wife all the time because she still smokes. I said to her, if I die of lung cancer, I said I'm going to come back and haunt you.
Well, I'm pretty, with the laws in New York, we're pretty fortunate. You can't really smoke in most public places. So I really don't get any secondhand smoke anymore.
Yeah, well, they are making it virtually impossible. Even in bars, you have to go outside to smoke. Restaurants, sporting arenas, sporting events.
Yeah, well, just about anywhere that's the public go.
That's right.
And now there are, I don't know if they have in St. Louis, but in New York, they have public outdoor areas where there's no smoking. They have smoke-free zones around hospitals and stuff.
Hospitals, schools.
Yes,
exactly.
you can't even go outside and grab a smoke like you used.
I remember when I was in high school. Adam, you may remember this school, but I don't think our gentlemen would. I went to Brooklyn Tech, which was an engineering school, and it used to be 8 floors. And the rule was that if you could still see the school and you were caught smoking, they made you serve detention. Okay, so you could be a block or two away, obviously off the school grounds, but technically if they wanted to, you could see the 2 top floors of the school. So therefore, you could serve detention,
Well, out there in New York, you guys get locked up for drinking a 32-ounce soda, don't you?
They passed that law.
Mayor Bloomberg wanted to, but which was it was ridiculous because the bottom line is, so you buy yourself a couple of sodas at 16 ounces apiece, and there's your 30 ounces right there, 32 ounces. Yeah. So it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Besides, we don't live in New York City, so we weren't affected by it. But it is a bit of a stretch trying to do that. He was like a big mama. He wanted to take care of everybody.
Well,
listen, there's no doubt that if you drank less soda, it wouldn't hurt you. But it's not his business, I guess.
Well, it's the same thing with smoking.
Coffee is good. Coffee is good for you.
Well, that's what.
Well, it better be good for me because I certainly drink enough of it.
They keep going back and forth with coffee. A couple of years ago it was bad, then it was good, then now it's good. It's been good for a while, coffee.
There are some days when I can go with a cup or two and that's it. And then I remember when I was working, half the time I finished my thermos before 12 o'clock. There was no more coffee left already. That's when I started making it myself.
So what do you do in your spare time? I know, Adam, you play music and you volunteer a little bit.
I train baseball players.
Do you?
Good for you.
All right.
Anybody we should keep an eye on?
Well, it's a lot of young there. Look like they may have some specs, but I assistant coach at a high school and been training my grandson since he was about 5. He's 17 now.
Anybody showing?
But I enjoy doing it.
Well, that's good.
Well,